Howdy, Raider Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Prom Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer, and we're ready to talk some Raider football together.
You already know what I'm going to say. I'm always ready to talk Raider football. Always.
Oh, yeah, you're always ready.
We're right before the draft. The draft is right around the corner. I'm excited. We're going to get, after the draft, we're going to get to speculate on who's going to, fit where. So this is an exciting time.
It is. Today on the show, we are bringing you a draft preview show with a special guest. T3RaiderFax is joining us, and he's going to knock us out of the park with some of his insights. Welcome, T3. Thanks for coming on the show with us.
Hey, Heidi. Hi, Homer. And hello, Raider Nation. Thank you all for having me in. I am honored, and I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah.
We are looking forward to it, too.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm excited. T3, dude, you have a great YouTube channel, man. I love listening to your show. It's very informative, and I've been reading the books that you're reading, too. So, yeah, man, it's nice to hear, the Raider history, the way that you're breaking it down.
Thank you, Homer. I appreciate that. And I do want to say it's been a pleasure for me to put all this together because there's no other organization that I know of, either football or any sport for that matter, that has as many good stories as the Raiders do. And that's what makes this such a pleasure to put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And Raider Nation, T3 is our first caller. He's always leaving a great call. And we want to hear from you, so you can reach us at 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Like I said, we want to hear from you. You can be on the show as T3 is today. You can also email us at theonlynationpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at OnlyNationPod. And make sure you find us on YouTube especially. Go there and subscribe, and our Facebook group is the Only Nation Podcast. So find us on all your favorite social media accounts and apps, your favorite podcasting apps as well. Don't forget to leave us a message with your name and your address, and we'll send you a sticker. We got good news again this episode, right? You got a receipt for more stickers coming in the mail, right, Heidi?
Yes, I do. Should be here within the next couple of days. So by the time this thing airs, we've probably got more stickers ready to go.
Stickers! Man. It's
stickers!
Fun. I put the Only Nation Podcast sticker on my guitar. So it's there. When next time you see me wailing, you'll know the Only Nation Podcast sticker is on that guitar.
Yeah, we need to get an updated version of the Autumn Wind.
I'm working on it. I want to add some well-known rock songs within the Raider Nation that were played at the Raider Stadium. So I'm working on it. That way it's not just a 2-minute song, it'll be more of a 7-minute song. Try to open up for some of these bands out there, these Raider rappers and bands that perform at the Raider Nation events.
I'm not sure I can handle you for that long, though.
You'll be all right. As Mojo says, I'm melting faces. So hopefully your face doesn't melt too quickly.
I'm sure we'll be fine.
Me too.
Just hopping into the latest news, there really is only a little bit of Raiders news that's taken place since our last episode. Almost all the info out there covers the upcoming draft. But we have claimed tight end Paul Butler off waivers from Detroit to join an already packed tight end room.
Yeah, get ready for a lot more of the 2 tight end package, Raider Nation. They're loading up. Gruden loves that. He loves to run the football. So he's loading up on tight ends.
I do hear that the Raiders are appealing to the NFL to add 2 extra roster spots this year so that they can add 2 more tight ends.
Go ahead. Do what you got to do. The tight end, right, has been a position that has killed us forever now. You know what I mean? That's why we're all happy to see these linebackers come in during free agency. Gruden, he knows that. He wants to utilize that. He wants that next great Raider tight end. He's looking for that guy. Darren Waller seemingly is that guy. So, he brought back the fullback, right? Everybody was talking about that position going away. Not that tight end was ever going away, but tight ends, have always been valued, and it goes back to the old school Gruden ball. So I'm excited to see that.
Well, you say tight end, I think Todd Christensen.
Yeah, the last great tight end that we had.
Can you imagine Al Davis at the owners' meetings petitioning for 2 extra roster spots this year strictly for tight ends? I could see him even trying that.
You'd sue him. Try to sue him for it.
All right, and the other big piece of Raiders news, Allegiant Stadium has been topped off. All of its exterior roof panels have been installed, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, I've seen the footage out there. You know, Jersey going by there, she was sharing some footage. That looks awesome. The Coliseum, right?
I cannot wait to go out there to make my first trip to the new stadium in Vegas.
Yeah.
I can't wait either. The last time I was there, all I did was get driven by an empty lot and told, hey, that's where it's going to be.
That was, about 2 years ago, I guess, right? It's amazing how fast that stadium's gone up.
Last time I was there about 3 or 4 years ago. Probably about 3 years ago.
Pretty fast, yeah.
Yeah, it went up very fast. All right, let us jump into the really only big part of today's show, the draft. But, as usual, the NFL, no fun league, has already made their mark on the draft. Now, it's still going to be the virtual draft that they've talked about, where the war rooms will not be at the team facilities and they'll be at the general manager's house. And Roger Goodell is still supposed to be calling in the names from his basement, or whatever part of his house that he decides on. But the NFL has issued some rules to the 58 players participating virtually in the draft. Now, some of these make perfect sense. There's a dress code. They don't have to wear suits. But some general common sense to start off with. You know, no explicit language on t-shirts, politics, religion, hate speech, sexual imagery, tobacco, alcohol, stuff like that. But they do get a little pickier after that. They can only wear products from a company with NFL licensed clothing, such as Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, New Era, and they can't wear anything from a non-NFL league. So if they've got a favorite baseball team or something, they can't wear that hat. And they can only allow NFL-affiliated companies on camera on their feed.
I mean, it makes sense, it's marketing.
Yeah, they can have Pepsi products on their feed, but they can't have any Coke cans. So the NFL actually wrote in the memo, do not have any products displaying brands or logos that have not been approved by the NFL within camera range of your feed for the NFL draft broadcast. And Yahoo pointed out that the players must comply with these rules in order to appear on camera in the NFL's virtual draft, even though none of them have even signed a contract with the team yet.
You gotta play by the rules if you want in, It's all about marketing. Yeah, they want to make sure that the people that are paying them are getting their time on TV and not, letting their competitors get their time on TV, So it makes sense. Yeah, no fun league though. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, but the one thing that the NFL is doing to be nice is Yahoo reported that the NFL is helping them out by shipping each potential draftee a welcome kit of NFL-approved products.
Here, do your first commercial. Yeah, that's...
Pretty much.
I hope Goodell gets this thing right. What he needs to do is, if he's broadcasting from his basement, he needs to go ahead and get a pre-recorded track of an audience that has both cheering and booing, because we need to all make sure that
mainly booing, though, right? He's the happiest guy in the NFL right now, being able to do it from his basement. He's like, yes, thank God, I don't have to endure all that shit. Yeah.
It's only right if there's booing, though. It's not the draft until there is.
Yeah. This is going to be strange, right? I was watching some of the draft shows that were coming on, NFL Network, and they were talking, a little bit about how the draft developed, and back in the day, it looked very strange, with just, the GM sitting around the telephone in a small room, and then it started to grow, by the mid 90s and turned into the spectacle. And now here we are doing this virtual draft. I mean, this is today's world, the information age, the tech age, we're still all communicating in Zoom groups, and that as fans, just to keep in contact and see each other's faces. And now we're doing a virtual draft. I mean, it's strange days, it was such a spectacle, right? Because they built it up. I mean, how is this going to affect the draft, right? I mean, do people go back if they let us get out next year, and does it still get as big as it was in Nashville? Could this hurt like the overall draft experience?
I think that it's going to hurt the overall draft experience for a long time.
Yeah. Right. People are going to want a vaccination before a lot of people start heading out. I've been talking to people, within the Raider Nation, that are feeling that way, dude. So, yeah, I can see this being the future of the draft, for the next couple of years, Yeah,
and the one thing that happened this past week that is kind of a precursor, that's an omen to the NFL season, is Taylor Swift was kicking off SoFi Stadium, which is where the Rams and the Chargers are going to play. And she had 2 concerts scheduled for July, and that was supposed to be the kickoff. And those concerts have now been canceled. So they're kind of using that as a measuring stick of, well, does it look like we're going to get anybody in these stadiums by August? It's not looking like we are.
No. Some of the reports were coming out early on from the politicians that, it could last until August. There really hasn't been a whole lot of talk, I think, but it did come out at first. I think they're trying to keep everybody calm, but yeah, I mean, like somebody put on Facebook, this chick, she put it on there, let's face it, 2020 is canceled. I mean, she hit it right on the head. She hit the nail on the head, like 2020 is canceled.
I don't think all of 2020 is canceled, but I would not be surprised to see the NFL season shortened this year.
Yeah, I can see shortened and even possibly played in stadiums without fans.
That would be insane.
Oh, you mean they're all going to be played in L.A.?
Yeah, they're just going to use the old StubHub.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, that vaccine comes out sooner than later, right? And we're good to go.
Yeah.
But hey, back to the draft, right? Now we're getting depressing now.
I'm just excited that we're at a point now where we can actually talk about something that's sports related. We haven't had that for a long time.
Right. It's I was watching the Senior Bowl earlier today, on replay, and I'm just like, oh, wow, this is great. I missed this, So any kind of sports, watching replays, is more entertaining than nothing, It's like, damn, we need it, but here's the draft,
Yeah, I'm using my NFL Game Pass a lot more than I would in years past.
Oh, yeah.
Which is free, guys. Remember, it's still free until the end of May in the U.S. So sign up, watch some old Raiders games. Watched a few games from Derek Carr's rookie year. I've just been going through and hitting random ones and just watching them. It's been a lot of fun. The closest thing you can get to a Raiders game right now.
Like I said in the past, I like the all 22. I love watching the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen. That's what I played. So, yeah, definitely take advantage of it, Raider Nation.
All right, so tell us a little bit more about the draft.
Yeah, the draft.
All right, now let me say this. As much as I love Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, in my best case scenario, I hope we don't pick either one at number 12. You want to know why?
Why?
Okay, I'll admit, and that's a bit of a teaser, but depending on how the board is going to fall, if one of these 3 guys, cornerback Jeffrey Okudah, defensive tackle Derek Brown, or linebacker hybrid Isaiah Simmons, should happen to fall to number 12, that would be my play. Now, if that happens and Lamb, Jeudy, and Ruggs are all gone by pick number 19, I'm turning right around and I'm picking Justin Jefferson, the receiver out of LSU, to fit in as my new number 1, unless we trade down.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm looking at it like, just sticking with the picks that we have. I think, that 3 quarterbacks are going within the first 4 picks. So I think after that's when everybody's going to make a run on the top 20, right? So that's kind of how I looked at it, with just the top 20. But I got like C.J. Henderson falling to us at number 12, which, the reports are pretty good on him. His size and his speed, and I think he would be a good pick at 12. And then if we got lucky, T. Higgins. The report on him, what made me like his report more than just his measurables was that he could play 3 different positions as a wide receiver. And John Gruden loves that. That's what he wants, And we need that size that he has to be able to go up over the top, and beat cornerbacks and free safeties,
Now, I took a close look at cornerbacks, and I found something in my digging here that I wanted to share with you that's pretty interesting. Last year in the 2019 draft, only 11 teams picked up a corner in rounds 1 through 4. And only 2 teams picked up more than one. Those 2 teams were the Raiders and Tampa Bay, of course. So teams are not holding in high regard the cornerback position. Now, it could have been that corner was just kind of a down position last year. Or, again, it could be that GMs and head coaches are, by and large, not trying to take a gamble on cornerbacks in the first round or up top part of the draft.
Yeah, but kind of looking at the reports on this one, right? There's a big drop off after C.J. Henderson and Jerry Jeudy, right? There's a big drop off.
Okudah and Henderson, or because there's a drop off after Okudah.
I think that the drop off is Okudah and pretty much everybody else.
Yeah, okay, Okudah. Yeah, there's a big drop off after Okudah and C.J. Henderson. So that's why I'm thinking right now those 2 are going to go, top 20. Because you still have to have that cornerback that can shut down, these wide receivers. It's a passing league. So cornerbacks, left tackles or, and the defensive ends and quarterbacks, and wide receivers, those are big, big parts. And so with there being such a big drop off, I think those 2 will go top 20. But then, who knows after that?
Personally, I think that Henderson is only seen as top 20 because there's nobody else. I don't even see him as a natural top 20 pick. Just my opinion.
I've been seeing Trayvon Diggs and A.J. Terrell both. Jeff Gladney's gotten a lot of play, and Jalen Johnson is creeping up the board as well. And don't count out Christian Fulton either.
Yeah, I really like Jalen Johnson. He's getting over an injury, but as far as press goes, he is one of the top corners in the draft, if not the top one. I really like him.
He's a guy that I had circled a long time ago, just because he has a lot of physicality in the bump and run, and as I've mentioned many times in other places, the Raiders truly need somebody who can hold up a receiver in the bump and run so that they can get that press up the field and put that pressure on the quarterback. Yeah,
I could definitely see him. I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't want him at 19, but I would definitely be okay with having him join us.
If you selected a corner at 19, I'd be happy to go with A.J. Terrell, Trayvon Diggs, or Christian Fulton, any of those guys.
Your thoughts, Homer?
I mean, like I said, I think I like C.J. Henderson. I think that's where we go with number 12 if he's there. As far as after that, I don't know. I looked around and I didn't really see any names that I would want to take at that point. Because like you were saying earlier, T3, that there may not be a lot of cornerbacks that are on the top of on a lot of people's boards, high on people's boards.
Here's the other thing too, that you've got Isaiah Johnson, who's coming back from injury. And I think the coaches really want to give him a chance to see if he's going to be that other guy.
Yeah, because I was looking at him. He was I think top 15 out of the cornerbacks last year. So yeah, just give him another shot. You still got Trayvon Mullen at as your number 1. I think he's coming in as your number 1. So I think with him and Isaiah Johnson, you want to see what you got with those 2 right now.
I'll tell you another guy that the coaches really like, and that's Keyshawn Nixon.
I think they like him, but they don't have confidence in him yet.
That's true.
But I do like him. I like his social media name. I think it's usually K9 or a derivative of K9. K and the number 9. I like dogs, if you couldn't tell.
I thought that was the nickname that they were using for Kenneth Murray.
Might be a nickname, but Keyshawn Nixon is using it on social media.
Okay, well, I'll give it to him since he's already the pro.
So, what are the greatest needs of the Raiders? What do you guys think?
Cornerback, wide receiver. Those are the top two right there in my mind.
I think I agree with you, cornerback and wide receiver, but I think you also need to get another linebacker too. I know that they addressed the needs during the off season, and you got Nick Kwiatkowski and then also Littleton, but that's two guys. Now, if you want to sub another guy in and bring a young guy in and get him prepared to take over that green dot eventually, or if you have one of those two guys go down to injury, you're kind of screwed. So I think you still need to bring in a good young linebacker, if nothing more than just quality depth, because they really don't have a whole lot of quality depth right now.
You know, I was watching the Senior Bowl, and a linebacker that I did was the Evan Weaver kid.
Oh, he's on my list.
You know, yeah, so he was projected like 4th through 6th. So you know that would be a nice spot to pick him up. You know.
He's on my list. In fact, if he's available with one of the 3 third-round picks, I'd grab him with one.
Yeah, there's a lot that we can do in the 3rd round. Hopefully he wouldn't be a reach, right? Because he is a little bit undersized. But, man, he was looking good in the Senior Bowl, coming off of the line, using his hands, putting pressure on the quarterback, you know. And I think a good play was when he hit the quarterback, but he didn't like drive into him or drive him into the ground. You know, he kind of pulled up, but he still put a pop on him. So I think, you know, with what Mayock has done, you know, in the late rounds, what he did in his first draft, you know, I think there's, you know, you got to go for the top 20 players, you know, in the top with those first 2. But then after that, you know, you can trust Mayock with the 3rd round and the 4th round and the 5th round. That's how I'm looking at it. Yeah, and of course they may be trying to make moves, you know, with Gabe Jackson on the block, trying to get into the 2nd. I don't see that they could trade him for a 2nd, but maybe a package deal like Gabe Jackson and one of the 3rd rounds, and some picks from next year or something. But I mean, I'm looking at it like Mayock. I would feel comfortable if Mayock didn't move at all. More picks is good, right? But at the same time, depending on who's on the board, we need to get that top 20, 2 of the top 20 players. Because we're right there, man. We are right there, especially after the free agent class.
Yeah, and the general overall feeling that I'm hearing from reporters and people in the know are that round 1 trades aren't going to be very forthcoming. That the GMs pretty much know what they want to do with the 1st round. But after that, all bets are off.
Yeah, you may not see a whole lot of trades this year, with one possible exception. Do either of you know how many picks Miami has this year?
As many as there are stars in the sky.
17. 17 picks. They have 17 total picks when you include all the compensatory picks. So they have so much draft capital that they could very easily part with a couple of those to bring in an experienced player here or there. Which is why I was thinking if the Raiders could get maybe a 2nd or 3rd for Gabe Jackson, just get on the phone with Miami and convince them that with all the new players they have coming in, they need to have some established talent, particularly on that offensive line, which has been weak for years.
They're not going to be able to move Jackson for a 2nd or 3rd with his contract. That's the problem they're running into, is his contract's just too rich for other teams.
Well, see, and that's what I mean. I'm comfortable. I hope they do not trade him, because I mistakenly thought that he was a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, which he wasn't, but he plays like one, and he should have been one. He's a swing guard. He can pull. I think we should keep him, and that's what I mean. If we were to, if you can't get anything for him, just keep him, right? Because he's not a hole. He's not a hole on your roster, and then you could, like you were saying a minute ago, really take advantage of those 3 picks in the 3rd.
Do either of you see Mike Mayock letting the 2nd round pass by without somehow getting a pick in there?
No, maybe not. It'd be hard, right? It'd be hard to imagine that. But at the same time, what is he willing to come, part with that he can part with? that won't hurt the team. Like Gabe, part of the getting rid of Gabe, right, is because he had that contract, right? But, how much does Rodney Hudson restructuring his contract help that situation? But so, I mean, right. He said he likes that. So his sweet spot is from 20 to 60. And I think you got the list right here, right? So, he's in none. So we had 12, 19, 80, 81, 91. That's all out of what he was talking about as far as the sweet spot.
I think that's the only, if he can't get a second rounder, I think he'd still be happy by maybe picking up an additional third or fourth. The Raiders have 7 picks now. I think he would ideally like to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 9.
But I think that he's going to have to give up picks from, future drafts. And that's what I do not want them to do, because last year, man, the 3 first rounders they got, Cleveland Farrell, he's going to be a solid player. Josh Jacobs, man, made up for the Khalil Mack trade. And then John Abrams, right? We're all anticipating him coming back and playing well. And then they got Renfro, Mad Max, Trayvon Mullen. They hit on so many players in that draft. I feel like this year, they set the bar so high. I don't think they have to swing for the fences in this one. I think that if they were to stay put, man, Mayock knows how to get it done. And that's what I was hoping. I was looking, I did my little mock draft, and all the big names, I just tried to be honest with myself. All the big names were gone by the time we got there, but like I said, you can get the CJ Henderson, he's got that size, and you can get a T. Higgins. And those 2 guys fill, the holes that we have on the roster and needs, which is kind of the tricky thing, because Mayock said it's dangerous when you draft for your need. But at the same time, if he were to draft and hit on the players as far as drafting for need and couple that with the free agent draft class, we could very well be in the playoffs, especially, with the competition that's going to be going on in the QB camp. I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition. So I can see him staying put if he does, unless, because otherwise he's going to have to sacrifice the future drafts, I think.
Everybody's been talking about Judy and Lamb, and I think if everything falls the way it should, I think either one or both could be available at pick 12. And I think Mayock is going to be hard pressed to try to get Gruden to back off of getting a number 1 receiver to be able to really open up that offense and take the top off of it like they were planning to do last year. And I see a lot of similarities between Jerry Jeudy and his separation and his route running ability. And he's pretty fast too. He's maybe not as fast as Henry Ruggs, but if you can get open and provide a target for your quarterback within the first 3 to 4 or 5 seconds, that's all you need.
See, like I said, I was having a little fun. I got the Panthers trading up with the Giants at number 4, and I got them going and getting Tui, right? The Panthers, because they want that running style quarterback, right? That's what I got them doing. And then when the Giants fall back to number 7, I think they're going to go and get CeeDee Lamb right there. And then I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be gone by the 10th pick, which is the Browns. Both of those teams, right, they drafted their quarterback. They want to get them wide receiver threats. So I think they'll be gone before we get a chance to get them. And that's why I got us going for CJ Henderson, right? Because some people are saying he's sneaking up on the boards. But yeah, you were just saying, you don't know exactly where he would be on other people's boards. So I think right then and there we'll go, because the top cornerback, let me make sure I get his, Jeff Okudah will be gone by then. I got Okudah going to at 11. To the Jets.
Now, I also want to throw in there, I did say before I don't see Henderson as a natural top 20 pick. I'm not going to be disappointed if we get him either. So I just want to throw that in as an aside. It's not that I would poo-poo the pick at all, but I'm just saying that due to a lack of really high-level players on that position, he is a little bit elevated above where he would be in another year. But like I said, it's just my opinion. But I really do like Jalen Johnson. I really do.
I like both Johnson and Christian Fulton. It's not that I don't like Henderson, but I think 19 is a little high for him.
I was saying 12, Henderson at 12, because at that point, the best 2 wide receivers would be gone.
It'll really be interesting to see where the run happens. This happens every year in a draft where you get a certain position where you get one player drafted, and all of a sudden another one falls. It'll be interesting to see, and from all indications, that run is going to happen on the offensive line.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those guys, they're going to push some of that skill position talent back, But man, there's just too many teams with too many needs that are similar to ours ahead of us. So I think the guys that we would want with our, in the first round, the guys that we want to spend money on for the first round price or whatever, they're going to be gone. So at that point, I wouldn't want to give. So if this is the way the draft goes, I wouldn't want to give T. Higgins that 12th pick. You know what I mean? But I guess what is it? I mean, I don't know. What does it really matter? But I think you could get, because if you don't get your best cornerback, at 12, I don't think he'll be there at 19.
Well, I think aside from Chase Young, who's going to be gone at number 2, I think personally the three best players in the draft are Okudah, who I think is going to be gone in the 3rd pick with Detroit because they have to replace Darius Slay, and then Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons. Those are your 3 best guys, I think, in the draft.
Yeah, but see, I got Simmons going to the Chargers.
They need a quarterback.
I don't see them. Well, they're going with. That's what I mean, though. I got the Bengals taking. Let's see, I got the Bengals taking Burrow, right, and then like I said, I got the Giants moving up to taking Tui, and then I think Herbert's going next to the Dolphins. So I didn't like Jordan Love, what he was doing in the Senior Bowl, and Hurts. I know a lot of people like their style or whatever, but I didn't like what I saw out of them. I don't think they're first round guys. I don't think you pay that price for those guys.
No, I think somebody's going to move up and grab Jordan Love and be very sorry.
I've heard a lot of rumors that the Patriots would be interested in moving up for him. That'd be okay with me.
Well, that's why I have the Chargers taking Simmons at 6, because I just don't think that there's any other quarterback that's worth those top 20 picks.
I would hate seeing him twice a year. That would be horrible.
Yeah, and then the worst case scenario for us, right? I got the after that. Let's see, I got the Broncos taking Patrick Queen.
Ruggs. Oh, okay.
No, I got Ruggs going to the 49ers.
Yeah, if he's there for the 49ers pick, I see that happening.
Now, how would you guys feel about us going for a defensive tackle early? A lot of people...
Derek Brown was there.
A lot of people are saying that could be a sneaky move. That the one thing that we really need is a defensive tackle that is on an elite level. One that can really put pressure on the quarterback. Because we do not have that.
The only one I would go with is Derek Brown.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one worthy of that. I've heard lots of talk about Javon Kinlaw. I like him. He's a nice player, but I think that's just simply too high.
Well, I've been some of the reports were saying that he had some off-field issues, and I just don't see the Raiders taking any chances, especially after the AB fiasco with character issues. Think about it, Raider Nation. Like the only guy with character issues over the last several years to work out for us is like Richie Incognito. Like who would have thunk it, right? I don't see the Raiders taking any chances with any off-field issues in this draft. This draft, I think is a critical draft. I don't think we need to panic and start trading everything unless we were to get an Isaiah Simmons. I would still love to see that. Yeah, I think if really when I just let go of my infatuation for Simmons, I think that they're just going to stand firm unless something really, really good comes their way.
Now, I could see Gruden getting somebody with a character issue if they're on the offense. I don't see him doing that for the defense, at least not high up. Because Gruden loves his offense.
I don't know. We're at a critical point. Yeah, but we're at a critical point right now in his second tenure. Year 3, 4-12, right? A lot of people, that was terrible. The Khalil Mack trade. A lot of people don't remember that we were in a lot of those games. And then 7-9, where we could have won 2 or 3 games to put us in the playoffs, man. Year 3, if he goes back because some other character issue, it's gonna hold the team back, I think, too hard, because we can't overcome that team. Had a hard, they did it, they overcame the AB deal, but like we don't need another one of that with our rookies.
Yeah, Heidi, getting back to your point, I do see the Raiders drafting somebody for the defensive line, but there's a lot of value in this draft at that position. You can go all the way down and get James Lynch out of Baylor. A lot of people are projecting he could be available in the 3rd or 4th round. And another guy who I really like, who's kind of on some people's radar, but not on others, and that's Jordan Elliott out of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So those are 2 guys I think that you could easily pick up in either maybe the 4th or 5th round, who carry a lot of value, and then you can look at focusing on those skill players really in the upper part of the draft.
See, I got Bradley Anai. I think that's how you say his last name, the defensive end. Somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th. I liked what he was doing in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, out of Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I see him going by the 2nd round.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying Walter Football has him in the 3rd or the 5th. So if he were to fall, we could make a play in the 3rd. I think that would be a good pickup.
All right, so we've kind of moved on past the 1st round right now. One of our biggest issues of need, like we've all agreed, has been wide receiver. Who do you see as a potential fit past the 1st round? I've got in my mind, Michael Pittman, Chase Claypool, Laviska Shenault. I know I'm saying his name wrong. I'm sorry. What do you guys see as a potential picks?
I remember reading the report on Pittman. I liked what I read. Colin Johnson, though, out of Texas, right? Not that I'm being biased. I think he would be. I think he would be a good fit, in the later rounds. He's got the size, and he can play ball. He can play ball. I think he would work out for Gruden.
I was going to give you 3 names.
Okay.
One is Van Jefferson out of Florida. I really like him. Of course, he comes with that pedigree because his dad is a former receiver, Sean Jefferson. So you've got the pedigree there. Now, also looking further down, there's a guy out of a little school called Liberty, which is just south of where I live in Virginia, Antonio Gandy Golden, who's projected at 4th to 5th round. And then you also got a guy named Gabriel Davis out of Central Florida. So these are all guys who have speed and a lot of skill, who I think will be sleepers that could make some noise toward the tail end of the draft.
I think the guy out of Central Florida, I believe Gruden likes him, from what I've heard.
He does.
I like our wide receiver group if we could get a true number 1 out of the draft, a big body wide receiver with some speed out of the draft. I like our wide receiving group after that. Hunter Renfrow is the next Fred Biletnikoff. I'm telling you, the guy can catch whatever is thrown at him. 3rd and Renfrow, right? And Tyrell Williams was playing well at the beginning of the year, man. He just, when both of his feet got messed up, he couldn't make a comeback, man. So I'm gonna give him one more year. I think, if we can get true number 1 with him at number 2 and Renfrow working the middle with Waller, man, that's dangerous. For me, I guess in the later rounds, and since Gabe Jackson was on the block, if we're looking to get out of that contract, right, I think we should go with like a Damian Lewis, who again, he's an offensive guard. I know you're talking about wide receivers, but I would rather go with the offensive guard and to fill that Gabe Jackson spot if we get rid of him, at some point, which I'm sure we will. But he was coming off of the ball well, holding his ground, pass protection, and then what I really like is see him running down the field and getting blocks, blocking a couple of guys down the field. So I don't know. I think in the later rounds, like we was talking about, we can get, a good inside linebacker with Evan Weaver, a good defensive end with Bradley Anai, and go for a guard at that point with the Damian Lewis. And then, Colin Johnson still, though, as to, go back to the wide receiver thing. But I do like our wide receiver group. I think it's a lot better than what it looked like last year.
Where do you see Marcel Aitman?
Special teamer. I mean, I like the guy, but like I said, he's got that big body too, right? That's what we were all hoping from him. But Colin Johnson, I think, is better than Aitman. So at that point, if we could get him in the later rounds, yeah. But I don't think Aitman's going to be around very much longer. He's, especially with like Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones working with Derek Carr, building that chemistry is going to be important. That's one thing that Crabtree and Carr did a lot, was work together. So I think that's going to be critical.
If Aitman doesn't really separate himself as a special teams guy, I don't think he makes the roster this year.
Yeah.
Now, Homer, you were mentioning guard a minute ago, and I wanted to throw something intriguing out for both of you. This is a guy that some of you may not have heard of. The guy's name is Solomon Kinley. He's out of Georgia. Now he made 32 career starts his final 3 years, but now his comparisons. Listen to this. His comparisons is to a larger and stronger version of Richie Incognito.
Nice.
So how great would it be to pick up a guy in the 5th round who has that edge to him, has the size, and then have him be trained by Richie himself to then step in and take over that guard position later. You lose nothing, and yet you get somebody who's of that same ilk, and you got Richie training him.
I think that's good.
That
I like that
nice.
comparison. Yeah.
Sounds real nice.
So keep an eye out for Solomon Kinley in either the 4th or 5th round.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like the way that sounds.
And they could use one more young offensive lineman.
They can. It's been seen as an area of need, not high up. Although, since it's offense, I could certainly see Gruden jumping out for a really high-ranked one if they're available. But, we could definitely use another swing tackle for backup. But we could use a guard to grow into that position too, especially one from a later round.
We definitely need to start trying to replace Gabe Jackson if he's on the block. But we still got Devy, right? Jordan Devy.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about him, so yeah, and Good too.
I really like Good. I like both of them.
Yeah.
I think Good earned his keep this year.
Yeah, he did. He's another one that I would have liked to seen sign to longer than a 1-year contract, but we'll see where that ends. If he keeps it up, I'm willing to keep him around. I'd love to keep him.
Or if he signs that 1-year contract and then comes in and does really well, he then becomes draft capital.
Yeah. Well, then we'd have to re-sign him though again, right?
Yeah, I don't like giving up good offensive linemen. I like to keep them. They're kind of important.
Oh no, you could put a tenure on him, right?
I think he might have too much experience in the league for that. I could be wrong.
I don't know right off the top of my head what the do's and ins and outs are for putting a tender on a player.
Yeah, that's super nerding out right there.
All right, and one position that we really haven't talked about at all yet is running back.
Yeah, that's another area that I think that really we need to take a look at bringing in a young guy. And again, that's where I had kind of circled in the 3rd round. There's 2 backs, one in particular that I really like, and that's Cam Akers out of Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Got a good body, he's strong, and I think he could certainly take some of the load off of our guy.
I'm in love with A.J. Dillon. He is a big dude.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for size right now.
He is a big dude. He's a bruiser. He would be a great complement to Jacobs.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need the Tyrone Wheatley style running back. That's what we need. Gruden loves that, and he wants it back. He's already, like we were talking earlier, he brought back the fullback. He's building up that tight end stable. He wants to be able to run that ball, but we need that guy that can run, that big body that can run behind in gold. You know what I mean? And that change of pace, then Josh Jacobs comes in as the change of pace, the shifty, speedy guy that, he's versatile, right? Because he can go in the middle and then bounce it out to the outside and all that, so a big running back. And that's, you said A.J. Dillon, right?
Yes. Out of Boston College. He's almost 250 pounds.
If we get either Akers or Dillon in the 3rd round, I'm happy.
Cam Akers?
Cam Akers.
I don't like that height, man. I just think I'm talking big bruiser, to put, because these defensive linemen are big now. in that short yardage, I want to see that big bruiser. Yeah, I like the AJ Dillon. I like the sound of his size,
Yeah, and from what I understand, Mayock and Gruden also like him, so I would love to see him picked up.
He should be there in the third round. So, like I said, I'd be happy with either Akers or Dillon if we could pick him up in round 3.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't complain about either one, but Dillon is he's the dude I really want. How about edge? I know we've kind of touched on that. Any other thoughts about the edge?
I mean, after we signed Nassib, and Farrell, we still have. I think we're really good. If there's not a clear shot number one guy that's better than everybody we got on the roster this year, I think that kind of takes a back seat. You're obviously trying to replace Gabe Jackson, so you got to work that out. And cornerback, wide receiver. So that's kind of what I'm hoping that they really kind of focus on. Edge, like we were talking earlier, there's a few of them. I like Bradley, Anai, and the third and the fifth, or somewhere between the third and the fifth. But I'd have to look into more. Oh, what is it? Uter Gross Matos, right? He's gonna be gone.
Matos.
Yeah, Gross Matos. Yeah. He'll be gone by the second round, right? If not sooner.
See, I think both Gross Matos and Bradley and I will be gone in the second round. So I don't think those guys are even in consideration. It really depends on how the board falls, but I think both of those guys are gone in round 2.
So then I guess number 7, what WalterFootball.com has Marlon Davison, right, ranked number 7, but going somewhere between the first and the third.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be our most urgent position. If the right guy's there, we could certainly grab another one. Because depth and keeping the guys rotated. The one thing about Mad Max last year was he was high energy, and for a rookie especially, he kept his energy level really high throughout the entire year. But he was playing like 99% of snaps by the end of the year, so you can't run him that much.
Yeah, well, you still got Arden Key, which, he didn't close the deal, and Nassib looks like he's going to take his place, but, I'd almost rather sit there with Arden Key than, spending a third rounder on a defensive end. I think that, like, if the offensive guard, is a good spot, that round.
Arden Key, 6'5" and 110 pounds.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's coming in. If he's coming in, just to give Mad Max a breather, I feel a lot more comfortable. I think last year they tried to keep, he was like the third down rusher, but he just couldn't seal the deal. So now you got Nassib, if he doesn't beat out Farrell, right, coming in and doing what Arden Key was supposed to do. But Arden Key does provide depth.
I wonder if we're not going to run Farrell at defensive tackle quite a bit again this year.
I hope not, because some of the reports were coming out that he was playing a lot better when they just kind of, because they put him back to the defensive end. That's why you got Malik Collins. Even though he's only on a 1-year contract, you're hoping that he's coming in, he's going to provide tutelage for Hurst, right? Because even though Hurst is kind of underperformed, he still has the potential to be a good, tackle.
See, number one, I think that linebacking core is going to make a huge difference in the play of the defensive line.
Yeah.
I think that support is going to be huge, and it's really going to allow those guys to unleash like they weren't able to do previously. The other thing is, and I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction right now, I'm predicting that Mayock and Gruden bring in, after the draft, an unsigned edge rusher. I'm saying they're going to bring one in, not draft one, but bring in one unsigned after the draft. Because there's several guys, I'm not going to mention specifically who, but there's about 3 or 4 names out there that could slip through the cracks in the draft who I think could really come in and make some noise. So I see them signing an edge rusher, but after the draft is already done.
Okay. Yeah, I have no doubt. I'm sure they'll probably sign at least one, probably 2.
Yeah, Ingold came in as an undrafted free agent, so I like the sound of that. That's the other thing. It's like I don't think there's any need to reach for a defensive end this year, I think, in the draft. The clear holes are cornerback, wide receiver, and if you're trying to move Gabe Jackson, you got to fill that offensive guard spot. You bought some time with Malik Collins, right, at defensive tackle. I don't know who's coming out next year, but there's that, stopgap at least. I
was going to say there's a really good player coming out next year, an offensive lineman out of Oregon. I'm trying to remember his name right off, but he's kind of off the charts. He's already on a lot of people's radar. So it's an offensive tackle. I think his last name is Sewell, Sewell, tackle out of Oregon. So keep that name in your brain.
Okay.
For next year.
All right, sounds good. Okay, and the one position that we've kind of really ignored, but with Gruden, it is always a possibility. Do you see us taking a quarterback in the draft?
I think all the quarterbacks that would be worth it will be gone by the time, by the right time for us. It would be the right time. I think they'll be gone by the time we would be looking into it. All the good ones, There's always next year, but the thing is, like, Gruden doesn't really like to draft quarterbacks, right? He drafted, I think he had a hand in drafting Marquise Tuiasosopo, right? So, I don't think that's really worked out for him, I think, he's going to look for that veteran quarterback, and he's already got Carr and Mariota.
He loves working with veteran quarterbacks, but he's never developed a rookie quarterback, at least not successfully.
But at this year, right, signing Mariota, is this the year to draft a quarterback? I don't know. I think next year, right, because that'll be Mariota's second year. We'd have a better idea of whether he's even going to fit the offense, right? And right. Derek Carr will still be under contract right then and there. And then you could have that guy sitting for a year behind Derek Carr or learning from Mariota, keep him happy, and then he'd come in after that. 2 years. Sitting, I don't know if you can. The quarterbacks coming out of college right now, a lot of them, right? They're just like plug and play, So
everybody's been talking about Jalen Hurts, and again, I like Jalen Hurts a lot, but I think he's going to be gone in round 2. It really depends on how the board falls. Now, if he's available in round 3, I can see the Raiders taking one of those 3 third-round picks and dropping Hurts on there. But again, I think he's going to be gone in the second round. 2 guys that I would keep an eye on for later in the draft, and one of these guys performed really, really well in the Senior Bowl. And Homer, you may have seen footage on him already, and that's Steven Montez out of Colorado. He's projected by some as a 5th-round pick, but this is a guy that Gruden could develop. Another guy who may come as an undrafted player is James Morgan out of Florida International.
I could see Morgan. I really could.
He would have to come in as an undrafted player, though, because we're done once we're done with round 5, unless we could pick up a 6th or 7th somewhere.
Right.
Like I said, Marquise Tuiasosopo, right? Love the guy, great Raider or team guy. I don't want Gruden drafting quarterbacks right now. I know he had the Gruden camp and all that, but I don't want him drafting quarterbacks because Marquise Tuiasosopo did not deliver. And who knows how much of a hand Gruden had in that, but I've heard that was his guy. And that was what made Al Davis, one of the things that made Al mad at Gruden.
Well, my reservations with Gruden have always been magnified and cemented in my head was his outlook on Johnny Manziel. I couldn't take him seriously after that.
Gruden, look what he did in the clips when he was in Tampa to Chris Sims. Like he's particular. He's detail oriented. He's a perfectionist. He wants it a certain way with some volume, with some balls. With this and the verbiage. You would have to be a really good quarterback, a first round talent quarterback to come in and learn under Gruden, I think, and have some success and not be intimidated by, Gruden himself, man. So I just think that they should stay with veteran free agents.
Yeah. Personally, I'm a fan of him working with a veteran. I I don't know. It was the Manziel thing. I can't take him seriously after that.
Yeah, who can? I mean, but Manziel, he was on the top of a lot of people's boards, so.
If you see Tua dropping to number 12, does Gruden grab him?
I don't think so.
If I'm anyone sitting in the room and Tua falls to 12, I'm turning around, getting in my 3-point stance and running away in a 4.4 40.
Yeah, if that were the case, right, then Mayock could make some moves, right? If a player of that caliber falls into his lap, he could trade back and pick up that second round he wants, right? And pick up, anything 13, on in the first. I think if something like that were to happen, that's when Mayock would make a badass move and get more draft capital.
I could see that.
I would take that over actually having to pick him. I'm not interested in him.
I mean, right now the running quarterback is the hot thing, right? Lamar Jackson, right, took the Ravens, but we all saw what happened in the playoffs. But Patrick Mahomes is doing his thing, but not everybody's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a baseball player out there playing football,
and he doesn't fall apart when you touch him.
Yeah, and so, but you're not going to find that guy that another running quarterback like him. I just don't. So I still believe in the pocket passer that knows when to run, not run first quarterback. Quarterback run first in my mind is he's getting, he's running, 3 to 4 times a game no matter what. You know what I mean? So no, I don't think that we're gonna. Hurts is that style. Plus, he was throwing some ducks, man. In the Senior Bowl, it was looking bad.
When I see Tua, I think one thing, and he's a dynamic player, but I can't help but think of Bo Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the hip, right? Yeah. Well, Priest Holmes, right? He came back from the same injury, so but if he wasn't the same, so there it is, right? So yeah I wouldn't take Tua.
All right, and T3, I know in one of your calls you mentioned Jacob Eason. What are your thoughts on him?
I did, and I think he would be available. But again, he's going to be gone by the second round. So Eason and Hurts were the only two quarterbacks I really had confidence in from that standpoint. But I think Eason's going to be gone as well. So I don't really think he's really an issue. Hurts, I don't think really is on the table either, since I think he's going to be gone in the second round as well. But those are the two quarterbacks I had graded out, both of them above Jordan Love, actually.
Okay. I think that kind of wraps up our draft coverage. Do either of you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah. How did I do?
You did great. Why do you think I was the only one asking questions instead of giving you info?
Well, you did take the easy out.
I did.
Right, you took the easy way out.
I definitely did.
Good job.
Well,
I was sweating. T3 was kicking ass.
Well, this year I feel very behind my draft research. So, yeah.
In everybody's defense, it's been hard to really do a lot of good research with the absence of interviews and a lot of the things that we traditionally have had. We just really haven't had very, very much on any players over the last month, 2 months.
I think it definitely has affected just because normally I just absorb the information. And this year it's like there hasn't been information to absorb. Other than the combine, there really hasn't been anything. Rogue pro days and edited videos sent out to teams, but that's really been about it.
Well, that may be beneficial to some of the really good GMs and coaches because they have to go back and watch a lot of film. And if you're worth your weight in salt and you're going back and you're studying the film and picking out all these things, then you're way ahead of things. I mean, I'll give you an example. Seattle and Minnesota, they've traditionally done well in the draft. And teams like Cleveland, Cincinnati, well, there's the other side of the coin.
Excellent point.
And then there's us.
Well, we got Mayock now. We've got Mayock now.
I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about him is he loves to watch that footage. He's a player, ex-player. He went through the process. He loves to watch footage. Yeah, he's got a great edge, man. I in Mayock, I trust.
I trust the process. I do.
Okay, and let us get this show wrapped up. This week we are going to end with T3's phone call because I got distracted playing with my dog and my kitties, and I didn't research my Heidi's Hero section.
This is T3RaiderFax with this week's version of Heidi's High Five. Number 1, Sunday, April 19th was the birthday of Mark Van Eegen. He came to the Raiders in 1974 and played 8 years for the Silver and Black before finishing his career with the New England Patriots. When he left the Raiders in 1982, he was their all-time leading rusher with 5,907 yards. He was affectionately known as the Grass Monster. Number 2, Tuesday, April 21st, we celebrate the birthday of John Vella. He played offensive tackle for the John Madden teams from 1972 to 1979 and was part of the championship offensive line that dominated the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11. You may also know him from one of the video images from NFL films, The Autumn Wind. A man in uniform, number 75, comes running onto the field with a full beard and a bristling black mustache. Yeah, that guy. Number 3, all right, here's a question for you. Since 2011, how many Raider first-round picks have made it to their 5th year with the team? The answer is 0. You heard me right, not a single one. Number 4, some fans already know this, but before the Raiders began play this season, there's been only one other NFL game played in Las Vegas. That was a preseason game between the Raiders and the Oilers, played in August of 1964, set up by none other than Al Davis. Number 5, since we have the draft coming up this week, let's reflect back on a positive note. 20 years ago this week, Al Davis made the bold move and selected a kicker in the first round of the 2000 NFL Draft. But then Sebastian Janikowski, known to many of us as Seabass, went on to have a pretty good career with the Raiders, don't you think? And that, my friends, is this week's version of Heidi's High Five.
All right, another excellent call from T3. Thank you very much. That is T3RaiderFax. He gives us a great call every week, Heidi's High Five. And you can find him on YouTube as T3 Sports Guy. He has his own Raider Roots podcast. It is called the Raider Roots Podcast. He has episode 6 up right now, and that takes place in 1963 in Raider history.
Man, T3, I gotta say, dude, I love what you're doing, dude. I love your delivery, man, with the phone calls, dude. It's just, you're on top of it. T3RaiderFax for sure. You know, it's fun listening to your segments, man.
Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure being on with you two. I hope that we can do this again sometime really soon.
Hey, you know what? I'm all in for like a third co-host, so, you know.
Anytime.
All right.
Well, we'd like to thank you, T3, for joining us on this episode. We will have to get you back on the show after the draft is over.
Sounds great.
And we want to thank the listeners again for joining us on the Only Nation podcast. Be sure to listen to our next episode, where we will be covering what the Raiders did in the draft.
And make sure you call and leave us a voicemail, 904-701-8667. We want to hear from you, Raider Nation. Can you top T3? This guy knows how to deliver the voicemails, man. So give us a call, Raider Nation. We want to hear from you. Also, don't be shy to send us an email, theonlynationpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram @OnlyNationPod. And be sure to like and subscribe to us on your favorite social media accounts and podcasting apps. Don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll get you free stickers. That's right, Raider Nation. That way you don't forget to check out the Only Nation podcast. The podcast brought to you by the Only Nation for the Only Nation.
Until next time, everyone, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.